Hello and thank you for joining us on Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines recently. I am Jacinta Agochukwu. This week, Bola Tinubu, prominent Nigerian politician and former governor of Lagos State, made history as he emerged as Nigeria's 16th president, marking a significant milestone in the nation's political landscape. Also this week, the Nigeria Labour Congress began mobilizing for a nationwide strike in response to the recent decision to remove fuel subsidy by the government. Later on the show, newly inaugurated President Tinubu appoints outgoing Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, as Chief of Staff and former Governor of Benue State, George Akume, as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. All the details in the moment. Stay with us. We begin with the inauguration of Senator Bola Tinubu, which took place last Monday. Tinubu was sworn in as Assistant President of Nigeria at Eagle Square, Abuja. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, administered the oath of office to the new president. Vice President Kashim Shettima was also sworn in by Justice Ariwola. The two won the presidential election conducted on February 25th with over 8 million votes. Meanwhile, immediate past Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari departed the Eagle Square immediately after handing over power to Tinubu. In his inauguration speech, he promised significant youth and women inclusion and to make security topmost priority. The new president also promised accessible and stable electricity. He said states would be allowed to generate and distribute power. Well, I have two gentlemen joining me to discuss this topic. I have Olumbe Akingube. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm sorry. He is chairman of the State Information Technology Agency and also a former House of Representatives candidate here in the studio. I also have Niyi Saliu, a political analyst via Zoom.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Niyi, are you there? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, let me start with you. What significant achievements or event have stood out for you since President Tinubu's inauguration, and how will you characterize his leadership style thus far?
Well, His Excellency President Tinubu is not new to administration. Remember, I was governor, and he's never left, managing men, resources, and playing, leadership role at different, levels and in all spheres of his endeavors. So he's just back in a formal note to a terrain, he understands very well. And he's shown it, he's demonstrated it, even by, some of the decisions he's taking, some of the appointments he's made. The first thing was the audacious, removal of the petroleum subsidy. Yes, generated a lot of crisis, a lot of, noise here and there, but you have never had any president in recent time that has been bold enough with enough political will behind his decision to take a decision like that. In the end, it's going to be to the betterment of Nigerians. He's also been making very unique, very appropriate appointments, and you have seen it. For instance, the appointment of Femi Gbajabiamila. Femi Gbajabiamila is a technocrat cum politician. He's a man with vast experience and knowledge. And President Tinubu is renowned for, picking the right people for the right positions. So it's just an indication. And there are other rumored appointments that you can't but give him credit for. And know that, yes, these are, the appointment, the kind of people that you need in certain responsibilities for Nigeria at this time. So he's a man for the moment. And he's shown it in all his actions, body language. Since he came into office, he's met first with this, with Labour. He's met with the GMD of NNPC, the CBN governor. So he's been facing the problem headlong. And after that, he's met with the security chiefs and he's giving them marching orders. He's, in a way, tabled this agenda before them. And they are, are looking keen into it now. So it shows a man who understands the problem and who is really capable and ready, to focus and face it headlong. Right. So he hasn't left me in any doubt that he has the capacity and the readiness to face the problem and solve them.
All right, Neye, let me come to you, Ms. Olumbe. Nigeria has expressed another successful democratic transfer of power. What would you say is the significance of this move, to the country and as well the democratic process?
Well, without a doubt, it definitely strengthens the democracy that we have. We always talk about how long, when we compare ourselves to developed countries, I mean, in particular the United States, I think we're very fond of doing that. These are democracies that are over 100 years old, and obviously practice makes perfect. The longer we do understand and appreciate the importance of civilian, democratically elected leaders within the political environment, surely it will go a long way in shaping the way we as citizens of the country take ownership of our country, and a level of affinity to actual government programs and policy.
All right, let me also come to you, Neye. What do you say to the mixed reaction, to some of the decision made by the new President Tinubu? If you were to offer advice to him, what will it be?
Ordinarily, when there are changes, of course, the fear of the unknown, uncertainties, you will see different level of reaction. And it is almost on the government to continue to explain, the reason behind some of these decisions. And the reason those decisions must be followed through. It is not out of place that when a new government comes into office or when there's a new decision that is taking a major, is shaping the lives of the people differently. It is not uncommon that you will see, different levels of reaction, even from those who are supposed to be knowledgeable about the issues and who should know better, who should even be in a position, to support the government in explaining, some of these issues to the people and assuring the people that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You will see strange behaviors from them. So it's not out of place. We are human beings in the end. But you see, what has continued to give me confidence is the competence of this president and his focus, his capacity, and the level of commitment he has displayed, historically and since assumption of office. So it's not out of place. I'm sure the president understands this. It's a man that has managed people over the years. So he will remain focused, and I'm sure he will turn the corner by the grace of God.
All right. So we take a short break and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us, and you're just tuning in. It's Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines recently. Now to another story for tonight. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC has announced that it would embark on a nationwide protest from next Wednesday if the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited refuses to reverse the new price regime in the oil sector. The NLC President Joe Ajero disclosed this while addressing journalists on the resolutions of its National Executive Council meeting held in Abuja on Friday. President Bola Tinubu, in his inaugural address at Eagle Square, Abuja, had declared that the removal of subsidy as aid was not sustainable. Following the announcement, the NLPCL on Wednesday directed its outlet nationwide to sell fuel between 480 naira and 570 naira per litre, and almost 200% increase from the initial price below 200 naira. It must be noted that Nigerians spent over 4 trillion naira last year alone on petrol subsidy, more than it spent on health care and education. Many experts arguing that such was unsustainable. To discuss this, I still have with me Olumbe Akinkugbe, Chairman of the State Information Technology NLC, and former House of Representative candidate here in the studio with me. I still have Nii Saliu, a political analyst via Zoom. Let me come to you, Mr. Olumbe. Do you believe this is justified for the NLC to embark on this strike? And what is this potential issue or complication that could arise from the strike?
Well, I think the Nigerian Labour Congress, actually, with all due respect, reminds me of a philosophical policy that, philosophical idea that says, called something Maslow's hammer, right? Now, what Maslow's hammer says is that when the hammer is the only tool you have, every problem becomes a nail. So whether or not, you have other tools to fix it, you decide you just want to hammer at things, which we're talking about the Nigerian Labour Congress, meaning the strike, all the strikes that have, they've embarked on in the previous years, to what extent has it proven for good in the first place? Personally, I don't recall that the NLC went on a strike when we didn't have, when there was a paucity of Naira notes in the system. So it's coming at a rather awkward time because especially since we all know that this decision was actually taken by the previous administration. Yes, it took the courage and it took the initiative of our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to make that clear or to reiterate it as it were. But this is something that was already put, it basically is going to be against the law if we try to pay subsidies in the subsequent months. Of course, it's going to cause a lot of issues. There's all the loss of man hours. The economy is going to obviously regress as a result of this. Surely there are other ways, I believe, beyond striking to actually come to the table. Everybody understands the issues, right? And the Nigerian Labour Congress has been intimated of this over time. So I see no reason why the strike action should be the path forward. What we should be looking to do with the new government is to sit down and harmonize and make sure that there's a proper plan for the subsidy that is saved. How do we channel it to the deserving people, to people who are truly challenged, that are going to mitigate the effects for them? So personally, I don't think it's a good idea. And I appeal to the Nigerian Labour Congress to find a way to sit at the table and discuss this thoroughly before they resort to the last action, which is...
All right. Yeah, there have been a lot of mixed reaction towards this subsidy removal. While some, like financial experts, are saying, are recommending and commending this move. Some think otherwise. Do you think there could be other alternative the president could have considered, or was this the only viable action for the government?
Well, like I said initially, it would be against the law to put subsidy into the budget because the last administration has already put paid to that. So we can't go back to subsidy. What we should be thinking about are the palliatives. Now, when I say palliatives, I'm not talking about giving out rice and all these kind of things. We need to start putting money into things like education, into things like a proper welfare system, transportation, which directly affects the man on the streets, as it were, because really, at the end of the day, the fuel, we're talking about people that actually use public transport, people that actually use public transport to deliver their goods and services, rural roads within the communities. Those are the people that are really deserving of these subsidies, and we should properly plan a way to actually make sure that these subsidies reach them directly.
All right, Nii, are you there? Let me come to you now.
Yes. Yeah.
So, should the NLC at all be embarking on this strike action, and what other strategies can you prefer instead of them embarking on this strike? What other options?
There are no other options than consultation. NLC should go and imbibe constructive unionism. Look, in the last 18 years, Nigeria has committed more than $30 billion in subsidy payment. We are a country today that is paying, in debt servicing, almost equivalence of, our revenue. There is no economy in the world that can survive it. Why? Because we are paying subsidy. That is completely a scam. And in any case, what the NLC is asking this government to do is to go against established law. And the NLC was alive, they were here, they were in the country when the government that just left, budgeted for subsidy payment up to the end of June. So they understand that what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing is simply implementing the law. So the options that NLC has, well, the current view, they can engage current administration, to work with them to see that whatever money we save from, the stoppage of subsidy payment is committed to things like education, infrastructure, and things that will have direct impact on the lives of the people. So I want to appeal to them to rise above, petty politics, rise above, populism, and, tell the people the truth, work with government to ensure that we stop, this scam that has almost, taken us over, so that we can have enough money to commit to redevelopment and put money into the real sector of the economy. So the option that they have, that is going to be a veritable tool to them, is consultation and engagement. They are a partner, to any government. We have, moved away from politics. This is governance. And the NLC should understand that this current action is quite unpopular. It's going to create more problems, and it will sabotage the effort that this government has been bold enough, to make, regarding the, total eradication of subsidy payments in the country. There are other things that we're going to do. There are other bold decisions that this government wants to take. What the NLC should be doing is supporting the effort of government in this. They should be more concerned in ensuring that there is the seat to the 100% implementation of whatever commitment the government has made, towards, solving the issues, resolving the issues of security, resolving the issues of infrastructure, and whatever commitment they also made, towards the savings that they're going to make from the stoppage of subsidy payment, and where the government says they're going to commit the money to. NLC has a duty to ensure that truly the monies are committed to those, areas of development of the economy. So that's what I think the NLC should be doing, rather than, calling for suspension, calling for strike. Nobody is going to support it. It's going to create more problem for the populace. And this government has just come in, and it deserves its time. It deserves, the benefit of the doubt to see how they're even going to go about this. It's not a new problem. The issue of subsidy, the problem of subsidy has been on forever. We should commend this government for having, the political will to implement a law that has been made by the previous government.
All right, gentlemen, let's move to our last story for tonight. President Bola Tinubu has begun to make appointments to his administration. He appointed the outgoing Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, as his chief of staff. The president also named George Akume secretary to the government of Federation. Akume, a former governor of Benue State, is also the immediate past Minister of Special Duties in the administration of ex-President Muhammad Buhari. In the same vein, Tinubu named Ibrahim Hassan Hadijia as the deputy chief of staff in the office of the vice president. As you have the two gentlemen in the studio and as well via Zoom, let me come to you, Niyi. What are your thoughts towards this development? Were there any surprises?
No, this is vintage Tinubu. It's expected. And I suspect from what I've seen that, the principles that have guided the present choices are that of competence and, knowledge of the character that he's been appointing. The president has been around for a while, and he's worked with some of these people, and he has appointed people that he considers very competent, for the positions that he has appointed them to. Femi Gbajabiamila, for instance, has been in the House of Reps for about 20 years. He's been speaker, he's headed a number of committees, and he's been, up and doing. He has not had a single scandal to his name. He is competent. You know, the role of chief of staff is major. You are going to be wearing a lot of caps, that of a manager, a leader, the head of the secretariat, a politician, a technocrat at the same time. There is no one presently that better fits that, position more than Femi Gbajabiamila. And George Akume has worked with the president, for a long time. They been political associates, for a while. I served in Benue State. I knew George Akume when he was governor of Benue. He was a very loved, governor of Benue State, and he worked a lot in terms of infrastructure. It was top notch, and the level of relationship that is developed with the people of the state there was something to be commended. So, and he's been around. And in addition to that, the president also picked someone from the North Central to kind of diffuse the tension, in the country. You recall that some people in the North Central has been alleging, marginalization. And with this appointment, the president has shown that he can listen and he can, take actions that will assuage, the yearnings of the people, no matter, who they are or what their interests are. So the president has shown that he has the capacity to appoint the right people to the right position. So we must commend him for the choices he has made so far.
All right, Niyi Saliu, a political analyst, thank you very much for your contribution so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, let me come to you, sir. How would you assess the person and capability of Femi Gbajabiamila and as well George Akume and their potential to deliver in their responsibilities?
Well, my my colleague who just spoke has said quite a lot, and I would just echo the same sentiments. Excellent choices. As far as Femi Gbajabiamila goes, 20 years legislative experience, rose to be Speaker of the House of Representatives. He spent longer even in Abuja than the current president himself. So he knows his way around. The legislative experience, of course, is going to come into play because we don't want to see an issue where, the National Assembly is at loggerheads with the government. So definitely that's going to come into play. Of course, he's a lawyer by training. I'm biased because, I'm also a lawyer by training, but obviously we're able to do a variety of things. We're not limited. George Akume has been party stalwart since the ACN days. So this is somebody that the president knows very well and trusts very well. He's a retired federal permanent secretary. So he will definitely be bringing that administrative experience in the civil service to the office of the SGF, which is a secretariat for the government. He's a two-term governor, he's a former minister. So those are two brilliant choices, in my opinion, and it tells you, the kind of thinking that the president is going through and the thought process in picking these people. Of course, he's spoken to the North Central issue. I just wanted to add quickly that, of course, George Akume is also a Christian from the North. So we're beginning to see some level of balancing within the government, and we're going to see a lot more as time goes by.
All right, sir, you're the chairman of the State Information Technology Agency. Yes. What would you expect the president in that sector?
Well, that's my primary constituency, and I'm extremely happy that we have a president that understands the importance of technology. I mean, he was one that pioneered the digitization of the tax administration in Lagos State in his first term as governor, which has gone on to be adopted by several states all over the country. Even if I remember the land registry in Lagos State at the time, also I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was responsible for the process of digitizing, the land registry in Lagos State. So it gladdens my heart that he understands technology and the importance of it. Of course, where we're going in the world today, we can't do anything without technology. And he made mention of this when he had his meeting with the service chiefs, when he referred to, technology, using technology to on the battlefield and the war front. And also, he also mentioned something around identification, which is very key. I mean, we're all walking around with our NIN numbers, but it's not just enough to have a number. We must be able to use those numbers, to use that data effectively. You know, we must be able to make decisions that are data-driven, you know, and I'm pretty sure that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to use technology to the advancement of job creation for the youth specifically, looking at things like business process outsourcing, technology hubs all over the country. So I'm really excited that this administration is definitely technology forward.
All right. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Olumbe Akinkube, Chairman of the State Information Technology Agency and former House of Representative candidate. And I had Niyu Saliu via Zoom. Thank you as well for being part of the show. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Jacinta Agochukwu. Until next week, it's goodbye.